welcome to You're Doing It Wrong, where I break down common exercise mistakes and show you the right way to perform these exercises. Today we're going to go through the single leg RDL. This is a commonly butchered exercise. It's an excellent exercise, but only if it's performed the right way. So the way you see a lot of people doing it, they pay no attention to hip position. So standing on one leg, they bend over at the waist, and notice her hip is opening up towards you. So her foot's turning out and her hip is opening up. You can come up, just do 2 reps like that. So as she's trying to lower down and hinge at the hip, she's actually opening her hips up and losing position. She also was keeping her leg relatively straight. She almost had this leg locked out, which is another common mistake in the RDL, and particularly in the single leg RDL. So that is going to change the working musculature, and people do that because they typically can't get down low enough, or what they think is low enough. So in order to get lower, they end up opening this hip up, and that gets my leg all the way up. But that's actually the wrong way to do it. So the right way to perform this exercise is keeping the pelvis neutral, meaning the pelvis has to stay facing forward the whole time and not open up. So what we're going to do here, I like to start it with the knee out in front as people are learning this movement. Usually we'll do it unloaded, and we'll spend a lot of time just learning how to do it because it's such an excellent movement if it's performed correctly. But Christina's done this a lot. So she's going to go with the knee out in front, she's going to bend the back leg slightly, and she's going to tuck her tailbone underneath her. So it's going to put her pelvis in a nice neutral position. From here, she's going to go ahead and hinge forward. As she brings her torso forward, her leg comes back. She's only going to go forward as far as she can until she feels this hip start to open up. If the hip opens up, she's going to stop there and come back up, and we'll work on this position with the hips facing the ground. So go ahead and come up from there and do another one. As she gets more control in this position, she'll go a little bit further, and then she can start to extend the leg out. I like to cue her to point these toes at the floor the whole time, or almost point the toe at the opposite foot. That's going to help keep this hip down, which is going to be the most common mistake. So pointing those toes at the other foot is going to help keep those hips neutral. Go ahead and come up again and show me one more. Just go through the full thing. I like to bring the knee out in front as well at the end and come up, because it helps to cue getting the hips all the way through. So we're really working a lot of glute and hamstring on that downside leg, which is responsible for controlling that whole movement on the way down and then extending the hip as we come back through. So I like to drive that knee through because it cues the athlete to focus on pulling with this front leg and driving that hip all the way back through to come up to that position. So that's an excellent exercise only if you pay attention to spine and hip position as you're going through the movement.